let's say that we've got 3 bunnies here, and we're essentially adding up their weight. So each of these little bunny pictures represents the weight of a bunny. And we're told that that equals the weight of these 6 objects. And these are literally 1-pound weights. So one thing I want you to think about is how can we represent what we just drew here? How can we represent it algebraically? And to give you a variable to work with, you could really say maybe W for weight, but I'll go with B. So let's say that let's let the variable B equal the weight of a bunny. So if we use B as the weight of a bunny, how can we represent this algebraically using this variable? Well, there's actually a couple of ways to do it. You might say, well, look, each of these represents a B, so I can literally write it as B plus B plus B is going to be equal to these 6 pounds. And this is a valid representation, but it's not the simplest representation. If I add something like this, if I have 3 of something, I literally could instead write it as 3 times B. So let me do it that way. So instead, let me write it as 3b. So this is essentially just another way of representing these 3b's. 3b's, or 3 times b, is equal to 6. So how can we now solve for the weight of a bunny? And you might be able to do it in your head, because we're essentially saying 3 times the weight of a bunny is equal to 6. But we're going to do it logically so that you can later do much, much more hard to do in your head problems. Well, if you have 3 times something and you just want 1 times that something, the best thing to do might just be divide by 3. So if we divide by 3 right over here, 3 times b divided by 3, well, that's just going to end up with a b. But we can't just divide the left-hand side. Then this equal side wouldn't hold anymore. We have to do the right-hand side as well. So if we divide the right-hand side by 3, you get 6 divided by 3, or we can rewrite this equation as b is equal to 2. And you could even think about it visually up here. What we did is we divided both sides by 3. If you divide this top left-hand side by 3, you get 3 groups of 1 bunny each, or the weight of 1 bunny each. And on the right-hand side, you divide it into 3 groups of 2 pounds each. So each bunny must weigh 2 pounds. Each bunny, the weight of a bunny, must be 2 pounds. And I think you saw what I did here. I'm multiplying b times 3, and then I divided by 3 to just get a b over here. But you might say, hey, Sal, couldn't you instead have multiplied both sides by 1/3? And then I would say, yes, that is absolutely true. So let's go back to this step right over here. When we had 3 times b is equal to, I'm making sure I get the same colors, 3 times b is equal to 6, instead of dividing by 3, we could have said, hey, let's just multiply both sides by 1/3. And this is just, I'm using our new algebraic notation for multiplication. This is 1/3 times 3 times b. This is 6 times 1/3. Notice, multiplying by 1/3 is the exact same thing as dividing by 3. And that's all, when you divide by 3, you are multiplying by 1/3. 1/3 times 3 is just going to be equal to 1. So you're just left with a b on the left-hand side. And on the right-hand side, you're left with a 6 times 1/3, which is 2. You're left with the exact same thing. So the general idea here is whatever we had multiplying by the b, we divided by that to solve for a b. Or you could say we multiplied by its reciprocal, really just a fancy word for 1 over that. But either way, we got that each bunny is 2 pounds.